And then we have an entirely new archetype, which is Goblin on these nuts is now an entire archetype. This is now Konami's entire mission is to have people fall for that joke. Goblin Riders are now an archetype, and it seems to be a level 3 archetype. And I have not read those cards yet, so let's see. It's an entirely new archetype. There's a bunch of cards for it, but I haven't read any of them yet. So let's hop right in and see what they're all about. Also, JSW, thank you for the 13 months. Saturn, thank you for the 9. Uno Violo, thank you for the 14. Appreciate all of you. Ashter for Gaming, thank you for the full year. And Grow, thank you for the first time Prime. Appreciate you. Thank you. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for using your free Prime on me. Goblin Rider, Duck the Assaulter. Earth Warrior, level 3, 1600 attack. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. If this card is in your hand, you can detach an XYZ material from a monster on the field, and if you do, special summon this card. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Goblin Rider spell and trap from your deck to your hand. Alright, so... neat card. The first effect is something that I would kind of treat as like a bonus effect, because this comes into play in 1 out of 2 scenarios. Either you use your own XYZ material for it, which means you already have to be playing the game, or you can use it going second if your opponent is playing an XYZ focused strategy, which there's not that many of them out there these days anymore, right? There's not that many decks that rely on XCs. But like I said, this is just a bonus, because let's be real here. This second effect already makes this card good enough for most modern decks, right? If this card is normal or special, add a Goblin Rider spell and trap from your deck to your hand. That's already a phenomenal effect. The fact that it has a bonus where it can sometimes special summon itself just makes it even better, right? But it's already like a Goblin Stratos on normal or special. That's already pretty good, right? That is already pretty good. The first effect is just a bonus where if you can already summon Xyz, you can detach from your own Xyz to have further extension. Honestly, this is a pretty good card. A pretty good start for this archetype. Goblin Rider, Duck the Assaulter. All right. Goblin Rider, Clutter the Noisy. Also level 3. Seems like they're all level 3s, or at least focused around level 3s. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can target a goblin monster in your graveyard, except Goblin Rider, Clutter the Noisy, special summon it. This is a decent effect, but not that great, because you already need stuff in the graveyard to pull it off, but it's not bad. Especially if you can like summon it later down the line in your combos. It's just another free XYZ essentially. During your opponent's main phase, if this card is in your graveyard, quick effect, you can detach an XYZ material from a monster on the field. If you do, special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. Okay, now we could be talking a potential way of disruption, right? Now we're talking a potential way to disrupt your opponent, because depending on what the other goblins do, you can summon this out on your opponent's main phase, then use this effect to revive a goblin from your graveyard, and if that has some sort of disruptive effect, you can use it. But on top of that, this is just like great follow-up, right? Because like you do your thing on your turn, and then during the opponent's turn, your opponent starts breaking your board or whatever, you go use Clutter in the graveyard, bring it back, use its effect to revive Duck the Assaulter. Assaulter searches a spell and trap from your deck, so you've just created 2 bodies and a spell and trap in your hand for free. So like this is a great engine for follow-up already. We got Goblin Rider, Boon the max speed. Wind Warrior. Also, this one was a tanky target, which is interesting. So you can potentially play more copies of this than 3. Not sure if you were going to play 6 copies of this ever, but the potential is there. During the main phase, if this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can, quick effect, you cannot special summon Goblin Rider, Boon the max speed until the end of the next turn. Also detach one XYZ material from a monster on the field, and if you do, special summon this card. You cannot special summon until the end of the next turn. Also detach, special summon this card. Okay. This card is interesting. The wording is kind of strange. No, the wording is kind of strange. I was confused for a second there because it says you cannot special summon Goblin Rider the max speed until the end of the next turn, and if you then special summon this, but I think this all happens simultaneously. So it's I know how the wording is can be confusing, but the effect is worded in a way where it all happens at the same time. It all happens simultaneously. So once you've successfully summoned this one, you cannot summon any more later. It does detach from either side. The problem with all these cards... is that they only detach one material. So if you're actually aiming to use this as like an anti-XYZ strategy, you have to like use multiple of them because most XYZs hit the field with 2 materials. So that is one thing. However, one thing in particular, I mean, people are mentioning Pearly, and this strategy should be very strong against Pearly because what you can do against Pearly is you can simply detach the level 1 Pearlies, right? You can simply detach the level 1 Pearlies and then they all lose their quick effects or their bonus effects, right? Like all the Pearly stuff really suffers from these kind of cards. I doubt that they were designed as an anti-Pearly strategy specifically, but that is one of the implications. Another implication is that, you know, certain XYZs need to detach 2 materials, right? Like Zeus. Yeah. Can you decide what to detach? Yeah. You are the one detaching, so you get to decide which one to detach, which material. You choose which material to detach, yeah. All right. Now, the one thing that's missing, because we're only looking at the main deck monsters so far, we still need to see what kind of like your boss monsters are, because this is all just like summoning some bodies out. Goblin Rider Miyanda the Cold-Blooded. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can special summon a goblin monster from your hand. Okay, so we got a little Boggart Knight action, so a little extension going on. If this card is in your graveyard, you can detach an XYZ material from a monster on the field, and if you do, special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. This card is also very good. Simply, you know, summon it, summon another one from your hand, rank 3 XYZ, detach this, bring it back from the graveyard for free. Good card, good extender, tour guide target, right? Tour guide target. Now, I will say these main deck monsters were all okay. None of them were bad. All of them had their uses and applications. I have a feeling that the most important card that we're going to read is the next one, though, because I can already tell the next one is their own rank 3. Because the one thing I was thinking about is, like, we're spamming level 3 monsters. We have synergy with XYZs. What rank 3 XYZ are we going to make? Because it's not going to be Dante, Farfa. We're not going to make Dante. So what XYZ do they have? Let me see. Goblin Rider Big Head Gabonga. Rank 3, 2100. You can only use the first, second, and third effect once per turn. If this card is XYZ summoned, you can add a goblin monster from your deck to your hand. Okay. If an XYZ material is detached from monsters on the field, you can target one other face-up monster on the field, attach it to this card as material. During each end phase, you can attach a goblin monster from your deck to this card as material. This card is good. This card is good. You're gonna summon this thing. You're gonna add a goblin from your deck to your hand, so you can further extend your plays. You're gonna try to leave this thing on the board, so that on the opponent's turn, you can do some neat things like... you can set this up in the graveyard somehow, or hand, you can just search it with this thing, right? You can search Goblin Rider, boon the max speed. You're going to activate the quick effect of boon the max speed to detach from this thing. And then this is also going to target one of your opponent's monsters and attach it to it, which is a very good form of removal. That is a very interesting form of removal, to just attach your opponent's monsters to this as material, because it avoids all kind of like, you know, if this card's sent to the graveyard or if this card is removed from the field or whatever, like all kinds of graveyard effects, right? You can just attach your opponent's monsters to this card as material. Interesting. The one thing that is a little bit weird is that the XYZ itself does not detach any materials, which means that if you, let's say you make it with a boon the max speed, you are not getting it into the graveyard to use it. You also are not going to be able to detach something like Clutter the Noisy, which wants to be in your graveyard, right? This wants to be in your graveyard, but it's not getting there, right? If it's caught up under this thing, right? But okay, this card in itself is pretty interesting. You can detach from itself if you use more effects, but I'm just saying, like, in itself, yeah. Still interesting card. This is a cool card for this deck. I like that it's a searcher on summon, but it's also a disruptive piece on the opponent's turn. Like, it's kind of like it kind of reminds me of Sword Soul Shishao, right? Because it's on summon, add extender, and then leave it on the field to be a disruption on the opponent's turn, right? That's kind of cool. That's kind of neat. You can search any goblin, so you can search Goblin Attack Force. That is true. We got Goblin's Crazy Beast, a rank 6, which as of now, there's no way they can make it. So maybe it has like an alternate way to summon it or something like that. But okay. 2+ level 6 monsters, generic. You can only use the third effect of this card's name once per duel. Once per duel? Okay. Once per turn, quick effect. Target a spell and trap on the field to detach 2 materials from monsters on the field. And if you do, attach that card to this card as material. Okay, spell trap removal on a rank 6. That seems like a lot of work to remove a spell and trap card. If a monster you control would be destroyed by a card effect, you can detach a material from this card instead. All right, some bonus protection. If this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon it. Then you can attach a goblin from your graveyard to it as material. Oh, that's once per duel. Okay. First of all, I don't see how goblins summon this. There might be a way to increase their levels with the spell cards that are about to come. But this does not seem... This is like the first one where I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is kind of meh. This is a lot of investment to make a quick effect spell and trap removal. Yes, it can come back from the graveyard. But that is... I want to say that's not worth the work you have to do. Like, if I can put multiple monsters on the field, I would almost always rather go for the Goblin Rider Big Head Kabonga, or even other rank 6s that are already out there. But let's read the spell card, because as of now we don't even have a way to summon the rank 6. Grand Gathering of the Goblin Riders. Now keep in mind, all these spell and traps are searchable by the first thing we read. Continuous spell can only use the third effect once per turn. Goblin monsters you control gain 300 attack. Goblin monsters you control gain 300 attack for each goblin you control. Okay, that's a potential powerful effect, because that makes everything a lot bigger. Like, if you have 3 goblins, 4 goblins, boosting everything by like 900 or 1200, that's significant. During your main phase, normal summon a goblin in addition to your normal summon or set. All right, double summon on top. You can target 2 goblin monsters you control that have a level to activate one of these effects. The level of one of them becomes the level of the other. Okay, so you can make them the same level. Or their levels become their total original levels. Ah, okay. So you target 2 level 3 goblins and they both become level 6. That's how you make this. So, nah, this can't be worth it, right? Like, I mean, there's no way I'm going through all the work to put 2 level 3 goblins on the board, search for this card, activate this card, make them both level 6, and then my payoff is this? I don't think so. I would rather make this. Or any other rank 6. Like, I don't think Goblin's Crazy Beast is that good. But, I mean, it is searchable. It is searchable because it's a Goblin Rider spell and trap, which this dude searches for free on summon. So, for sure. I mean, yeah, Beatrice, dude. You can make Beatrice. Compare this card to Beatrice. Because so far we have no lock. Like, we're not locked into Goblin monsters. Any of that stuff. Like, nothing happens. That we can just, you know, we can just make a better rank 6. Like, for sure. Lars, Beatrice, Wallow. But that is, it's all still interesting that, you know, we're mentioning a couple very powerful cards right now, specifically Beatrice. The fact that the Goblin deck will have access to those cards is interesting, right? So yeah. However, I don't think this card is going to be played more than like a one-of, because on its own, it doesn't do anything. It gives you an attack boost and a second normal summon. Well, okay. Grand Entrance of the Goblin Riders. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. Add a Goblin monster from your deck to your hand. Then you can detach an Xyz material from a monster on the field, and if you do, special summon a level 4 or lower Goblin from... Okay, this card's phenomenal already. I don't even need to read the second effect. Rhoda plus potentially an extender if you already have... Also, why the hell is Diabellstar on this picture? I did not notice this right away. Does this have... Goblin Riders are part of the Diabellstar lore? Okay. I guess. See the previous card art? Where? Oh, it's there, right? It's right here? Okay. Alright, so apparently Goblin Riders are part of the Diabellstar lore in some sort of way. So far, the cards have no synergy. Like, there's no sinful spoil support for the Goblin Riders, I don't think. They don't have a level 1 fire. There's, like, no synergy so far whatsoever outside of the card art. But, okay. Still, let's talk about the card. This card is very good because it makes it so... this one can basically search any monster, right? Because it searches a spell and trap. The spell and trap is Rhoda, so just get any of them. And even can extend them from hand. So it seems like between... we vote for a double match loss. That's what we vote for, Rayborn. It's easy. We have an additional normal summon. And we have ways to summon more goblins from the hand. So it doesn't seem like this deck is going to have a problem spamming these goblin monsters onto the field. You can banish this card from your graveyard, detach one Xyz material from a monster on the field. Then you can add a goblin from your grave to your hand. Wait, you can use both of those effects in the same turn? This card is literally just a Rhoda... an extender, and later on gives me a goblin from my graveyard to my hand. This card is completely custom. This card is insane. Why did they think they needed to add a bonus effect to a Rhoda twice? They added 2 bonus effects to a Rhoda. Why did they do that? Yo, is this the best Rhoda ever printed? Is this the best Rhoda ever printed, chat? It might be. This might be the best Rhoda ever printed. I'm not sure. Well, okay, Engage might still be better. Is Engage better, though? I guess Engage still is better. Huff beating Tally-Ho? Tally-Ho is also pretty powerful. It's definitely up there, though. It's definitely up there though. It's pretty insane. It's very insane that they thought they needed to add more bonuses to this card, but okay. I mean, one thing that is worth noting is that is something you guys need to keep in mind when we look at new archetypes that are being designed by OCG card designers, is that they are designing these cards for a very different metagame. Most notably a metagame that has Max C in it. So every single archetype that is designed around spamming a bunch of low-level monsters like this one is gonna have it a little bit harder in the OCG, right? Because as of now, I'm looking at this, and this deck does not seem to have many plays going on under Max C. Like under Max C, you're maybe gonna like special summon twice and end on a Goblin Rider Big Head Kabonga and have to pass your turn afterwards. So decks like this one, I think, tend to get more powerful support cards because of that, right? Well, this is a good card. This is a good Yu-Gi-Oh card. All right. Goblin Rider Stampede, continuous trap card. Can only use the first of the. You can only use one of the first and second effect per turn, and only one stat turn. During the main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves XYZ summon using only goblin monsters you control as material. Okay, quick XYZ, not bad. If you control a goblin XYZ, you can target an effect monster on the field, detach an XYZ material from a monster on the field, and if you don't, negate the target's effect, that target's effects until the end of this turn. It's not bad. It's okay. It's like searchable one of maybe, you know, once you have some bodies on the field, you can quick exceed with them, you know, make Kabonga on the opponent's turn. Or if you were already able to make it on your turn, then it's just like an imperm plus a detach. What generic rank 3 floodgate can we make? I don't think rank 3s are that powerful in general. Like, I mean, Invoker comes to mind, but Invoker summons exactly level 4, right? Invoker summons exactly level 4. It can't summon level 3, right? We can't go, because then this deck becomes a lot better. If we can Invoker to summon out these, because this one's Earth Warrior. Let me quickly check. I believe it's only exactly level 3. MX Saber Invoker. Invoker is banned in the TCG, but it's legal in the OCG, I'm pretty sure. But I think it's exactly level 4. MX Saber Invoker. Yeah, it's exactly level 4. You cannot summon level 3s with it. So, good rank 3 targets can summon Goblinberg for Isold. Look, there's already a bunch of weird champ Isold decks out there. I don't think you're gonna go all the way to you. I don't think you're gonna play a Goblin deck to make an Isold. I don't think that's gonna happen. So good rank 3s. I mean, honestly, I think that their own rank 3 is pretty much the best that I can think of. Like, their own rank 3 is pretty good. You know, summon it, search another Goblin, keep it around to attach an opponent's monster to it as material. That's a pretty good card, I think. Yawex, thank you for the first time Prime. Appreciate you. Thank you for the support on the channel. Also, we're getting dangerously close to 29,000 followers. So if anyone in here who isn't followed to the channel yet could quickly hit that follow button, that would make me very happy. Gossip Shadow in the OCG? I mean, Gossip Shadow without Rongo is not that good, is it? It's not that good. But okay. I will say, for a first wave of support, we have definitely seen worse archetypes before. It's like, it's not a bad first wave of support. I hit the follow button, smile. Okay, did you hit the unfollow button before hitting the follow button, Waver? Is that something you did? I feel like that's something you did. Because you've been subscribed for 16 months. Surely you... That's not what I meant. That is not what I meant when I said hit the follow button. I didn't mean hit the unfollow button first and then hit the follow button. That is not something that I wanted you to do, but... Alright. Instructions were unclear. I guess, yeah. The PSCT... The PSCT on my instruction was a little bit unclear, I suppose. Yeah, not a bad archetype, but Phantom Nightmare is as of now about 3.5 months, I think. 3.5 months down the line for us, maybe even 4. So this is kind of like, you know, this is it. It'll take a while. It'll take a while until we get those cards. We're gonna have some more time to wait and see if they do anything in the OCG, right? And then we're gonna revisit these cards once we actually get the Phantom Nightmare set in early 2024. But not bad. Not a bad wave. Not a bad wave of cards until then. Goblin FTK's Pearly. You see, the thing is, one thing you do have to factor in is that 4 months down the line, Pearly might not even be a top meta threat anymore. So while you are correct, this deck will be good against Pearly. The question is, will that still be relevant by the time? Which could be, but could also not be, right? It's very much possible that Pearly receives another ban list hit on like 4 months down the line. So we're gonna have to wait and see.